How's it going, everybody? I hope that your offseason is going well. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the players that are on the Yankees' radar as the hot stove gets ready to kick into gear. It's been kind of a slow offseason. Typically, not a lot happens until after Thanksgiving, and with the winter meetings kicking off in early December, I wouldn't expect much until they begin. Who remembers Giancarlo Stanton going to the Yankees during the winter meetings a few years back? That was fun. Hopefully the Yankees can do something big this year. It's been an interesting offseason so far. Judge winning the MVP was mostly expected, but the way that they had Giancarlo Stanton announce the award was a really fun way to do it. Judge is meeting with the San Francisco Giants today, and they are seen as the biggest competition to sign him. Obviously, he's from the Bay Area. He has a lot of family and friends in the area. But from his comments, he's made it pretty obvious that his priority is winning. He hasn't said anything about the size of the contract or any of the typical aphorisms that you get from a player who's hunting the big money. This is a business, looking to set my family up. No, he says he wants to win. And I gotta say, even though the Giants have won more World Series than the Yankees in the 21st century, if you had to bet which team could commit $40 million to Aaron Judge for the next 8 or 9 years and still put a quality team around him, I would think the Yankees would have a better opportunity because they have more revenue. We had the Meredith Marakovits sit-down interview with Hal Steinbrenner, and he seems pretty committed to bringing Judge back. Nonetheless, I do feel like the sentiment being attributed to Hal Steinbrenner is accurate. He's starting to get booed a lot whenever he makes appearances at Yankee Stadium, and you know he doesn't like that. He doesn't want the fan opinion of this franchise to be one that they are cheap or that they're unwilling to go the extra mile to get the championship like they did in 2009 when they signed Mark Teixeira after already signing CC Sabathia and AJ Burnett. So for the sake of this podcast, let's assume that the Yankees are going to do everything they can to bring Aaron Judge back and that they're going to need to add some additions beyond Aaron Judge to get past the Astros. So the first name that comes to mind, because he's on the Astros, he's the Astros ace, he's the Cy Young winner, and even though he's 40 years old, he's still very dangerous, Justin Verlander. He is somebody that has reportedly asked for 3 years and $130+ million. Now, for those of you who don't math, that's over $43 million per season. That's a lot. That is a lot of money. But if you do sign Justin Verlander, not only are you making your rotation better and adding really a true ace, but you're taking one away from the Astros. Now, here's my concern. We mentioned that he's 40 years old, and maybe he does have that Nolan Ryan gene where he can pitch well into his 40s, or the Tom Brady gene like we're seeing in football where, you know, he continues to play well into his 40s. I think the big concern that Yankees fans have is if you hand out a 3-year, $130 million contract to Justin Verlander, you're going to get the second coming of Randy Johnson, where he just immediately declines just because of age. But in terms of moves that George Steinbrenner would make, I think Justin Verlander would probably be the guy. But again, hefty price tag, 18-4 record, 1.75 ERA, outstanding season, great year in and year out, and I think we could all get used to watching Kate Upton at the games. Carlos Rodon is the guy that I've been advocating for the most for the last couple of years, honestly. I just love his stuff. I like power lefties. The Mets have been linked to Carlos Rodon. Yankees have been very lightly linked to Carlos Rodon, but it is apparent that they need to address the rotation. So after a couple of good years, might be time. I just hope they didn't wait too long. He was 14-8 this year with a 2.88 ERA. 178 innings pitched, 237 strikeouts, and a 1.028 whip. And don't forget, there was a DH in the National League this year, so this isn't against soft National League lineups anymore. It's the second consecutive year that he's had an ERA under 3. It was 2.37 in 2021 with the White Sox, but he just threw 132 innings that year. This year, through the most of his career, 178. I think he would be an awesome fit. 12 strikeouts per 9. Again, with the shift going away, it's important to get guys who can miss bats. So I think two main strikeout candidates would be Verlander and Rodon. And Rodon actually strikes out more hitters than Verlander. Another guy the Yankees have reportedly asked for medicals on is Jacob deGrom. Now, Jacob deGrom is somebody I would be extremely wary of. It seems like every year he's on the injured list for months and months. He's a guy who sits at 100-plus miles an hour with the fastball most of the time. Strikes out damn near everybody. But here's the problem. He's pushing the limits of what's physically possible as a human being. And when you do that, things start to break. deGrom was 5-4 with a 3.08 ERA this year. 11 games started, just 64 1/3 innings with 102 strikeouts and a 0.746 whip. 1.08 ERA in 2021. He's going to be 35 years old. And again, his ERA went up 2 runs per game from 1.08 in 2021 to 3.08 this year. I would be extremely, extremely cautious about giving him a contract. He has not thrown more than 92 innings in a season since 2019. So, to me, he's just a shoulder surgery or an arm surgery waiting to happen. Be very, very cautious. We've seen the Yankees linked to Kodai Senga, a Japanese right-hander with a good split-fingered fastball. I've seen some people compare him to Masahiro Tanaka, but to me, that's not the right comparison. Just watching him throw, I get more of a Hiroki Kuroda vibe from him. And Kuroda was a very valuable Yankee during the early part of the 2010s. He was 16-11 with the Yankees with a 3.32 ERA in 2012. 2013, he was 11-13, but again, 3.31 ERA. That was a pretty bad Yankees team. 2014, again, 3.71 ERA at 39 years of age, and then he left Major League Baseball. Andrew Chafin has been linked to the Yankees. He's a relief pitcher. He's left-handed. He strikes me as kind of a Nestor Cortez type of style, but out of the bullpen. I think he would be a really good fit, and he's exactly the type of pitcher that the Yankees tend to go after. He's going to be 33 years old this year, but he had a very nice season in Detroit, 2-3 with a 2.83 ERA in relief, 57 1/3 innings, 67 strikeouts, so he definitely misses bats. Did give up 5 home runs, that's not great, but 10.5 strikeouts per 9, and he's kind of funky. So I think he's somebody the Yankees could look at. Andrew Benintendi is still out there. We know about him. Great fit with the Yankees. Only 5 home runs, but he's a .300 hitter, and you got to imagine that that will improve next season with the shift going away. I was really starting to be impressed by the way he was swinging the bat when he got injured, and we don't want to make excuses, but really losing Andrew Benintendi along with DJ LeMahieu just took all of the contact element out of that Yankees lineup going into the playoffs. And I think, going back next year with Benintendi in the lineup just gives you a better chance. And really, that's all you can ask for. There's no guarantee. Look at the Dodgers. They won, I think, 111 games, and they still got knocked out of the playoffs before the NLCS. So there's no guarantee in baseball. But you really need that left-handed element if you're the Yankees. You really need that contact element. So I think Benintendi would be my first choice. But there's also Masataka Yoshida, who's another left-handed hitter from Japan. He's a guy who hits for a very high average. He's got a small strike zone. He's 5'8", 176 pounds. He's just 29 years old. And last year in Japan, he hit .336 with a .449 on-base percentage and a 1.007 OPS. Now, He is an outfielder, but there have been a lot of rumors that he's not a very good outfielder, and the Yankees definitely don't want to hurt that defense. But 82 walks and just 42 strikeouts. He's exactly the type of player that the Yankees need to put the bat on the ball. Just 4 stolen bases, so not really a speed threat. 21 home runs, 89 RBIs. He did have 28 doubles and 1 triple, 233 total bases, grounded into 11 double plays. I think that he could be a decent fit, but again, it worries me with the defense. You know, if the Yankees want to put him in left field and trade off time with Giancarlo Stanton, that's not necessarily a bad idea. But then again, you have 2 bad left fielders instead of 1. All things considered, I think Andrew Benintendi is probably the best fit. The Yankees obviously don't have a high-price shortstop. The plan is to go with one of the kids, Peraza or Volpe. But yet, since they are the Yankees, we keep seeing them linked to guys like Trey Turner and Carlos Correa. And I just flat out don't think that either one of those guys is a possibility unless they're willing to go to third base or second base. I think that Trey Turner would be a nice fit for the team offensively. But again, I think the Yankees are going to spend their money on Aaron Judge and on pitching, both the rotation and the bullpen, and then go with one of the younger guys, the cheaper guys, at shortstop, and then transition the other cheaper guy, whether that's Volpe or Peraza, to second base. And I think they're going to trade Gleyber Torres. We're seeing Gleyber Torres' name brought up in trade discussions more and more. The Seattle Mariners have been mentioned as a possible landing spot. I saw a few people bring up Jesse Winker. Now, Winker was good when he was with the Reds, but last year he was just completely awful with the Mariners. Hit just .219, 688 OPS, just 14 home runs. We've seen a lot of guys kind of struggle when they go to the Mariners. Adrian Beltre was one of those guys. He just couldn't hit in Seattle. A-Rod left Seattle. Griffey left Seattle. That's a tough ballpark to hit in. Personally, if I were trading Gleyber Torres to the Mariners, the player I would ask for is Andres Munoz. He is a relief pitcher, 65 innings, 96 strikeouts, 2.49 ERA, just 43 hits allowed, just 15 walks allowed. So a 6.4 strikeout to walk ratio, 0.892 whip, and he's just 23 years old. Don't think that the Mariners would do that, but an everyday player replacing their second baseman, Adam Frazier, who hit just .238 this year with 3 home runs. You know, with Gleyber Torres, who was almost an all-star, it might be worth it for them to give up a bullpen piece and then go out and try to sign somebody. But again, there are no rumors that this is what's happening. This is just, who I would go after. And as far as Carlos Correa goes, could consider putting him at third base, but the Yankees would have to get rid of Josh Donaldson first. Now, Max Goodman, friend of the show, Sports Illustrated, says that the Yankees are going to work hard to trade Donaldson. We've also heard Brian Cashman speaking very highly of Donaldson in the press. That could be just an attempt to kind of pump up the interest in him, attribute his down season to luck rather than to what we all know it is. It's age and declining skill set. But if you're able to move him, I could see the Yankees bringing in somebody like Correa to play third base. Still just going to be 28 years old, hit .291 this year, 22 home runs, .366 on-base percentage. Again, somebody who will get better as the shift goes away. And using right field at Yankee Stadium, you got to think the power numbers might go up. Wouldn't surprise me if he hit 28 or 29 home runs. You get a third baseman who plays good defense, hits .290 with damn near 30 home runs, and then you mix in some youth at shortstop and second base. That could be pretty solid. But I don't think it's going to happen. Ultimately, I think the Yankees are going to settle on one of the top starting pitchers. I'm leaning towards Carlos Rodon. I think the Yankees might be looking at Justin Verlander a little bit more closely. The fact that they're interested in Jacob deGrom is interesting, but don't go too pricey on him. I think they're probably interested in bringing Andrew Benintendi back. I think they're definitely interested in Andrew Chafin out of the bullpen. And, of course, the big prize, bringing back Aaron Judge, who, as we mentioned, is meeting with San Francisco today. So I don't blame you if you're nervous. As for me, what's been going on with me? I've been rebuilding my entire NYY Recaps library. I have this thing called the short topical reel, which is just those short, like 3-minute videos. I rebuilt that. I rebuilt the Yankees game night design. We're rebuilding the way that we present the belts, so that's going to be fun. And I've been working on rebuilding Yankees Game Day, which is going to be more of a morning show this year, a few times per week. We're going to do it at the beginning of every series and have voicemails as a regular part of that. So I look forward to rolling all of this stuff out when baseball kicks off. Oh, and I want to introduce you to the newest mascots for NYY Recaps. This is Dexter and Duchess. I've been kind of looking after them for the last few weeks, trying to raise some well-behaved kittens here, but hopefully they'll be making appearances on the post-game show as we go forward. So, should be a fun off-season. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And drive safe. A lot of nuts on the roads out there. I'll see you next time.